This is Michael from Sea God again. Welcome back. Today we are in the middle of the sea again. What are we doing today? Today we are on a ferry. As we mentioned yesterday, the plans have changed. So, in short, we today cycled from Kilmore Quay to Rosslare Harbour in order to take the ferry to France. So today we are going to Cherbourg. It's about a 19-hour ferry. It's going to be a fair amount of fun. We'll see what happens. We failed to book any cabins or anything like that, so we're going to be sleeping on couches tonight. Should be interesting enough. Today I wanted to give you a little idea of what the plan was for the cycling itself, as I haven't quite talked about that a lot yet. So for the cycling itself, the plan is to take from approximately the 7th, which is tomorrow, to the 21st in order to get from the very north to the very south of France. So as you may know, as is obvious, we will start from Cherbourg and we will make our way down to a place called Toulon, which is near Marseille. Well, it actually depends. There's a decision to be made there depending on the ferries that are available. So what will our days consist of? Well, our days will consist of waking up at around 6 a.m, cycling approximately 100 kilometers, this will depend on the day, and then relaxing at lunchtime and just enjoying our afternoons and seeing what vineyards and all that we may explore. We have accounted for some rest days, as we may want to, enjoy a particular place for a bit longer, or we may just even be, tired from all of the cycling we'll be doing. Along the way, we may meet up with some friends and we'll introduce you as they may or may not join us at different points in the journey. We're not quite sure what's going to happen there. What sort of preparation did we do for this trip? So if you're looking into preparing for a cycling trip like this, in general, there are kind of three main areas to consider. There is the person, so yourself, your fitness. And I think for myself and my brother, that is, we've kept up a general level of fitness. We are definitely not cyclists, but we're quite confident in doing this trip. Then there is the mental, which is, how well can you withstand going through these longer distances on a regular basis, especially if you're not used to doing this style of training or this style of cycling. Well, you know what, it comes in two forms. It comes in, you are ready for it in a sense where you've achieved hardship before, and then you also learn along the way, because if you set yourself a goal and you just start, oftentimes you just figure out a way to make it. And then finally we have the physical stuff. So we each have a bike with panniers and various bags. We try to pack it as light as possible, so we have very few clothes. So you'll be seeing a lot of this jumper, as this is the only jumper I have for this trip. We'll be cleaning all of our stuff and drying it out on any given day. And we have packed some tents, some sleeping bags, and some air mattresses for ourselves in order to sleep. And on top of that, we have packed, obvious first aid, water, first aid for the bike, as I like to call it as well. And yeah, in short, once you've prepared those three things, then it's a matter of, well, where do you want to cycle? And for us, we know what that is. It's from Cherbourg to Marseille or Toulon. We'll see what happens there exactly. And then you plan more or less what the route is going to be. So I have a general guideline of what the route is going to be. I have an idea for what the ideal days might be. But with these things, you kind of want to find out on the way, especially if you're quite an inexperienced cyclist. You may find out you can't do quite as much as you thought, or you just want to relax and enjoy yourself more, or you might even be like, no, look, I want to cycle more and further, and we might decide, look, let's just do a day where we attempt a longer distance to simply challenge ourselves physically. So that's kind of it. Those are the main things I've considered when preparing for this cycling trip. Given my current conditions, it's a bit hard to go through it in more detail, but I like to show you some of the stuff, some of the considerations over the following days, so you can understand what I've considered, as this is not my first trip of the kind, so there was definitely some forethought that went into this. However, for my brother it is the first time, so I think in particular the mental aspect is going to be huge. As I remember my first time, it was huge, and honestly it is my longest trip as well, so we'll see. Anyways, thank you for listening. Subscribe to become the most performant you, and I will see you tomorrow.